Yuck. What a gross game. What a gross series. Orioles get swept by the Astros. Kevin, I'm going to bring you on right now just automatically. Yeah, dude, what a horrible series. What a horrible series.
Yeah, don't really have much. I mean, we have a lot to say, honestly. I think there are a lot of different conversations we can have, but I want to forget that series as quickly as possible. Obviously, we have to talk about it, Zach, and we'll get into some of the particulars, but I know a lot of the conversation will probably be today about the state of the team. I know it already is.
If you can tell, the comments are being totally reasonable right now, and no one's overreacting.
Well, that's how they always are. That's how they always
are. Sam, buddy,
okay, I see I'm getting blamed.
Sam, buddy, I'm going to be real with you. I think you've come in here talking all this stuff. You have had the worst takes I've seen of anyone. I think you need to step back, maybe get off the screen. Take a deep breath, dude. I promise it's all going to be okay, buddy. I promise, Samuel. It's okay, baby. It's okay. You don't have to go off and cry after every loss. Trust me, we don't care. 8-1, the loss. Man, Kevin, it's been a long day. I do not. My voice is gone. I was up at 7 a.m. for softball. I'm a mess today. Yeah, what a loss. This whole series sucked. It looks like no one got off the plane. No one got off the plane in Houston.
Yeah, I think there were some. I think we might have had some doppelgangers get off that plane. Yeah. The Orioles, they that
was horrible.
They wanted some. They wanted some nice relaxation, 3 days off, so they got their stunt doubles, and that's what we saw throughout this weekend. At least that's what it felt like, because two really outside of one inning, 3 disappointing offensive games. Obviously, we know how that 8th inning went in the first game, but the offense didn't show up all series. Obviously, the pitching is another conversation, where the standard that we've held this rotation to, because they've been so good all year, they were so far below that standard. And when you lose games 8-1, when you lose games 5-1, then you have like football scores going on, like they're beating the Yankees 17-5, then they're losing to the Astros. It's like 14-11. It's like, where is the it's like it's the consistency. But again, I don't want to put too much stock in this series, but I also understand that there do have to be some conversations, because where this team is health-wise right now, we can talk about prospects, we can talk about needs, we can talk about this and that and the other thing. But I know Ryan said July, Zach. I don't know if I can wait until July. I think the Orioles have to make a move here, and I think that timeline itself for a move isn't necessarily sped up. I think in a way it is. But the timeline of talking about it, to me, I think is sped up because of the injuries the Orioles have had this season, especially in the rotation.
Yeah, I think the timeline's sped up. I still don't think anything gets done soon. I just don't see that happening still, especially because they talk about on broadcast day, there are 4 teams in the MLB who are pretty much out of it. Every other team, it was within, I think, like 5 or 6 games of a wild card. Like, we just don't, no team is giving in yet. No team's giving in. So if you want to give up a top dollar overpay for prospects or for players, maybe, but you're not going to see these big guys getting moved, because teams that are selling want to see what they can get. Like, I just don't think, is the conversation going to pick up? Maybe. Does this change anything that Mike Elias is going to do? No, not at all. They just took 2 of 3 from the Phillies. They just took 2 of 3 from the Yankees. And then they went and got humbled by the Astros, who are a damn good team. Fato's fan, the sky is falling. I'm saying it's just, and also I think Houston has won in their last 48 games or 42 games. Houston is 28-14. So Houston, if you just look at their record, but if you actually watch the games and know what you're talking about, Houston is a damn good ball club. So that whole thing that Houston's a below average team, they're bad, it's to cut the narrative, cut the crap. They're a damn good team who is underperforming and have been killed by injuries this year that team's finally putting it together. Kevin, how many guests came on and we asked them, we're like, is this the year Houston's actually done, or is this just the usual Houston starts out slow, everyone gives up on them, and then they're playing in the ALCS? And pretty much everyone we've talked to is like, listen, this team is still good. Like, they had a horrible start, but it just takes a matter of time before they just get after it. And they have been. They've been playing some of the top. In the past 42 games, they have the 5th best record in baseball. So, pretty good.
They're a better team than their record indicates. By the way, do I sound better now? Or do I sound worse?
Yeah, I think so.
Better?
I think you sound better. Honestly,
okay,
you sound the same. Try the other way.
using...
Wait.
Hello.
No, definitely the other way. The
other one. All right. Yeah, I was using the iPhone mic by accident instead of my earphones. But yeah, I mean, if you've been listening to this show, my particular opinion on the whole prospect thing and how the trade deadline is going to go, this is, and you alluded to it, Zach, this is such a weird market. Like, this is going to be a weird market. It's going to be a weird, I think, a crazy deadline. But I do think some of the, I guess, the conversation the Orioles have to have with themselves is, do they want to go all in this year? And the answer, by the way, should be yes. I think this is a year where they can win it all, and I think they should maximize.
Oh, yeah.
But with that comes, they have a lot of prospects. We know they have a lot of prospects. We can talk about Heston Kjerstad. We can talk about Kobe Mayo. We can talk about Jackson. We can talk about Connor Norby. All these guys. It is unrealistic. And I know I miss guys, Kyle Stowers, etc. But it's unrealistic to think that every single one of those prospects is going to have a carved out everyday role in Baltimore for the next, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. They can come up in spots and help. They did it with Norby. He had some good moments. He got sent back down. But with the needs of this team, especially because, Zach, I think for the rotation, what the conversation has become is with Bradish and his injury, with Means and what's going on with him, with Burns, obviously the uncertainty with his free agency. I think the conversation is now shifting from, their starting rotation, while it has exceeded expectations this season with guys like Suarez, who I know didn't have a great game today, but still guys like Suarez and guys like Irvin, etc. What does the short-term future of that rotation like, and what does that long-term future of the rotation look like? Because if, and I'm saying if, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if Burns does leave in the offseason, Bradish, we don't know his exact timeline. It's going to be a long time before he gets back.
Yeah, you can't count on you. Bradish is not going to be back next year.
Exactly. So what does it look like for them? Can you get a starter now with a deadline that has multiple years of team control that you can maybe say, hey, we know this guy's really good. This guy in our farm system is really good. We know he can make an impact for us, but there's not a path to playing time. He's blocked by whoever it is. But then the other conversation becomes, if you look at these outfielders, Kjerstad, Stowers, etc., what's the long-term future of Cedric? What's the long-term future of Tony Taters? What's the long-term future of Austin Hayes? Is there a transition coming, or are these guys just going to be in the minors forever? And if they are going to be in the minors forever, I think you have to maximize that. I know you and I have talked about it, Zach, but look, I'd be shocked if Elias sits still and does nothing. I know some people might disagree with that, but I think he does. I think he does something. What is the magnitude of that move? I don't know. But
I think it's going to be multiple moves. It's going to be multiple moves. It's not just going to be
very well be. Yeah.
And that's the thing is people act like Elias just makes calls on July 31st. Like, they are checking in. You can look at all the reports, all them, Bob Nightingale. The Orioles have been calling around all the teams. Every single starter that is out there right now, whenever you see a report, it's pretty much the same suspects. You see the Yankees are involved a little bit. The Orioles are involved. It just seems like the Orioles are doing their homework on everyone, and they're waiting to see what happens. I see guys' names, Garrett Crochet, all the time. If you've been watching the show, you know how I feel about Garrett Crochet. Think he's an absolute dog. Think he is as dominant as they come. I love watching him pitch. I would not give up top prospects for him for the sole fact that he's pitched 88 innings this year, and his career high is 54. So going into pretty much when you acquire him, he's going to most likely have double his career high in innings already in July at that point. And that just scares me about going all in with the guy that you're not even sure is going to be as dominant or his arm can hold up even to this year's playoffs. Now, does that mean I would be upset if we got Garrett Crochet? No, I'd be worried about, hey, is this arm going to last? But at the same time, he's a damn good player. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I know right now this is like the St. Louis series all over again, and the O's went out and took care of business. I know the sky's falling for a lot of people, and the Orioles can do no right, and they're a bad team. Kevin, we need to do breathing exercises because I think people, their heart rates, they're putting way too much into a 3-game series on June 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. If we put in this much effort and thought and concern into June last year, we'd be a hell of a lot more a lot happier with how last year turned out than if we prioritized winning in October. If you get swept in June, nobody cares. Nobody cares if you get swept in June. It's all about what you do in October. It's all about getting to October. So, that sucked. That series sucked. Throw it away. I don't care. Houston, what series? We have the Guardians tomorrow. I'll be there. So,
Zach Bollinger, boots on the ground. There you
go.
Just
win tomorrow. Like, that's the thing. Just win tomorrow. Like, who cares? That series over. Do you think they're – and Cooper, thanks, I will say, there, appreciate you. Thank you. He was talking about how the Astros before are just a desperate team. And that's true. The Astros are fighting for their lives right now. Like, people don't understand.
Yeah. The
Orioles were coming off this emotional high of you just took 2 of 3 against Phillies, just took 2 of 3 in New York. And then you come to Texas, kind of everything lets down. People are like, oh, this should be an easy series. The Astros are trying to fight and prove that they're worthy of buying at the deadline, that they're not sellers, that they are a threat. So, No,
I hear you. I mean, I'm holding right now. Season is not over. Sky is not falling, but I think this Guardian series, I would love to see them bounce back. I think they have to bounce back, right? I think if they get too far into a hole here, conversations start being had, and it's just like, okay, well, we know this is a good team. We know the offense is good. They just had an awful series. It was all like we can acknowledge the offense. 2 things can be true. The offense is a good offense. The offense was absolutely dismal during this Astros series. Outside of one inning, they were awful. 2 runs in 2 games in that second and third. That can't happen with this team. We can all say that. We can all acknowledge it. We are here to provide realism, where when things go wrong, we can acknowledge they go wrong. They are not good. But again, if we are putting the entire season, like, yes, we can look at trends. We can acknowledge things happen. But they, as you said, Zach, 2 or 3 from the Phillies, 2 or 3 from the Yankees, want to go back, 2 or 3 from the Braves. They swept the Rays in 4 games away from home. So, yeah, they had a pretty god-awful series against Houston. Yeah. We don't have to shy away from it, that they were not a good baseball team over these 3 games. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, yes, the Orioles aren't winning in the playoffs because of it. They're not winning a World Series because of it. I'd like to have more of a sample size of that before I want to go on the record and say, oh, well, this is a trend, or that is a trend, or this is a trend. If anything, the trend's been the rotation has been good, but they were just, again, not good during this series.
I mean, not so. This. I mean, you go into a series. That's why I think it's so funny when everyone's like, the starting pitching sucked this series. We need new starters, like get new starters. And I'm like, Corbin Burns and Grayson pitched this series. Are we replacing them? Are we replacing your 2 best starters went out there and got beat? That shit happens. Like, it's baseball, man. 162 games. And I'm seeing comments, that doesn't mean the Orioles don't need help pitching help. The Orioles 1000% need pitching help.
Yeah.
They go into if the Orioles think they can go in with this pitching rotation and bullpen into October and win, no. But I, like me and Kevin keep saying, we just don't think this is going to happen on June 24th.
Right. And I think
see Garrett Crochet. I don't see Jesus Luzardo's now in the IL. He's probably not even getting traded. So here's another thing. Garrett Crochet could go for an entire team's top 100 farm prospects because there's no one else out there. Like, it's just very, and thank you for this perspective, Cooper. You says 8 starting pitchers on the IL. Like,
Yeah, well, here's my thing too. If the consensus, which again, Zach and I both agree that yes, they need to go get pitching before the deadline or at the deadline, whenever it is. Like, We both acknowledge that. But what if they go make a big fish move and we're all, everybody's saying, oh, the Orioles are done. The Orioles, they can't win with this pitching, so they're done. And everybody makes assumptions about, okay, well, the season's over now. Then they go out there and get huge pitching up. I would rather assess the team as a full, okay, is this roster good enough or not after the deadline? Because then we will be having a conversation about, okay, did they get starter help? Did they get reliever help? And then we can take a whole perspective, because you mentioned it, Zach. Both of us agree that they need pitching help. It is not realistic with the injuries they have had to expect this pitching staff to just dominate in the postseason, right? Like it's not realistic. So yeah, they should go out there and get some pitching help. Both of us agree with that, but we don't know who that is. Whether it's Crochet or everybody's favorite Oriole Jack Flaherty or everybody's other favorite Oriole Tanner Scott. Like we don't know. So I'd rather assess the team when we have a concrete idea and say, yes, okay, if this is the roster they're working with, now we can make that assessment. Whereas a series in June, yeah, not great baseball was played for the Orioles, but I don't know. I don't want to make declarations there. Like it doesn't feel right until we know a bit more of what this roster looks like, because if we're both agreeing that, yeah, they need pitching help, we don't know if they're going to get it or not yet. And so to say the season's over for a roster that we don't think is going to be the final one, or at least we hope it's not going to be the final one, just feels premature to me.
Yeah, and it's fine. We always talk about the big fish. You got to go get the big fish trade candidate. Who is the big fish? Because there's not a pitcher. I can tell you that. That's the one thing is right now, especially with the sellers, or it being such a seller's market, because only 4 teams are truly committed to being like, this ain't our year. And that's the Marlins, the Rockies, the Athletics, and I'm forgetting a team. Really freaking bad. I don't know. That's
the Rockies. The Rockies aren't off.
Rockies are in there. Rockies are not.
Yeah,
they have no talent. they have no talent. Why am I blanking on the last team? It is the White Sox. Thank you.
You can't count out the White Sox with Gavin Sheets.
Yeah, the fighting Gavin Sheets. But really, when you just look at all of it, especially with Jesus Luzardo now being on the IL for potentially 6 to 8 weeks, 8 weeks, that's after, like, even 6 weeks, that's all after the deadline. So does Jesus Luzardo even get traded anymore? Okay, so now we have Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet is the headliner. You have to pay a crap ton. Sam C, thank you. This is exactly what they just don't count as a team anymore. I agree. You know what? I'll use that as why I forgot.
Yeah, declaration signed.
Let's see, like Garrett Crochet, guys like that. It's going to take so much to get them. And can the Orioles outbid anyone? Without a doubt. Without a doubt, they could. But I just don't know if they're going to overpay for a Garrett Crochet. And the issue is fans are going to see guys that are still damn good ball players. The Eric Fetties, the Jack Flaherty, stuff like that. And they're going to see their names getting tossed around a lot. And they're going to get pissed about it. They're going to say, no, you need to go get an ace. You need to go get that number one guy, the guy you can throw out, game 2 of the ALDS. I hate to break it to people, but that guy ain't out there for trade. Like, it's one of those weird years, especially with so many pitching injuries. I mean, think about it, Kevin, how many times, especially early in the season, it felt like every other week, it was like another ace is going down. The Kyle Bradshaws, the Spencer Striders, so many guys just going down with injuries. It feels like the starting pitching market, especially for trade, is just it's at I don't want to say low, because there are a lot of talented guys, but it's not like some years where even last year you were looking, it was like, oh, does Shane Bieber get dealt? Does Dylan Cease get dealt? Does Jesus Luzardo get dealt? And there was like 4 or 5, like the Justin Verlander saga. And it's like, okay, there are 4 or 5 big fish guys that you got to go for. Right now, it's looking like there's really just Garrett Crochet, and obviously, my concerns about him. So I almost want to temper people's expectations. Would love for them to go get a big star number 1 pitcher, but I just don't know if those guys are going to be like growing on trees this trade deadline. I think it's more realistic to see the Orioles go and grab a big time bullpen piece and try to get more of a 3-4 starter, to come in and help round out the rotation rather than them go all in for one massive starter, maybe the Garrett Crochet, and then band-aid the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you where I think as a 1-2, like you can live with Corbin and Grayson as your 1-2, right? I think that's okay. But I think it's just getting another consistent pitcher who you can throw out there on the third day of a playoff series, and you don't have to worry about what version of that person you're going to get. Where again, we talked about it last night. A bad Corbin start was 7 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs. Like you'll take that 10 times out of 10 mostly. But for Corbin, I mean, his dominance is just so incredible that you look at that and you're like, what? He didn't give up like 2 hits and 1 run? Like, what is this? Who is this Corbin Burns? And Grayson, look, with the circumstances, if they were to get a number 3, I'd feel fine with Grayson as the number 2, right? I think that's whatever. But if you can get a guy who can slot in as that like 3 guy, you can push Kramer to 4, you can make Irvin or Suarez the 5, and then you can move the other guy back to the bullpen. I think to me, and you made this point yourself, Zach, that gives the Orioles bullpen help in itself. If you move one of those guys to the bullpen, like that is internal bullpen help in the most internal way that you can get it, is moving one of those 2 back to the bullpen. How do you do that? I think you go out there, you get another starting pitcher, and then maybe you do, I think they could probably still add another bullpen arm regardless, but it's just a matter of what are they going to be willing. I mean, who are your untouchables? It's Jackson, it's Basayo, it's Kobe Mayo, right? Mayo.
Yeah, I used to put Kirsten in there, but there's just no point anymore.
No, I not anymore. Not anymore. I'm sorry, Joe, but yeah, not anymore. So I think those 3 are untouchables. I think anybody else is probably fair game. But then it's about, well, what was it? Was 0 for 8 today between Mateo and Arias. I know there's been a lot of conversation about Norby. And when are they going to call a guy like him up? Are they going to give Mayo an opportunity? They have a lot of tough. This goes beyond the trade deadline with like who are they going to acquire. They have a lot of tough roster decisions to make here too, in terms of which guys can help the ball club now, which guys are they saving for the future. But here's the thing: there's only so much saving you can do as an organization here about keeping a guy like Heston, for example, down in the minors, or like Norby, for example. It's like, how long are those guys going to stay? And then maybe how long is it until they're just kind of like, hey, this isn't working. Like, we need a place to go. Like, I think for a guy like Joey Ortiz too, who everybody knew, like, yes, between him and Westberg, the other one's going to be the odd man out, then that makes them expendable. And what we were talking about leading up to the season, it was, it'd be really nice if the Orioles could get this really nice, like, ace starting pitcher, and they use their abundance of prospects to go out and get that guy. It showed that, again, they are willing to do that. It's just a matter of how willing in the middle of a season when there's so much parity and so much uncertainty of how it can go and health and everything that goes into that.
Yeah, and I kind of want to talk about this. Speaking of untouchables in terms of trade, what about Povich and McDermott? This is an interesting question.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
Weirdly, Kevin, I want to say they are closer to untouchables than a lot of the position players. Solely off needs. Right now, the Orioles aren't in a position. And we've talked with David Hall, who covers the Norfolk Tides, and a few other people who have even talked about potentially Chase McDermott being a massive weapon out of the bullpen this season. Not saying that he's going to be a bullpen guy long term. I think he has a very bright future as a starter. But with the way that he is a high velocity, strike him out guy, if you can, later in the season, say, hey, you'll be a starter, we'll rev you back up to be a starter in the offseason. We need you to try to help us now. I think he, without a doubt, goes in and can help you in the 6th, 7th innings. Maybe he balls out and you can use him as a high leverage guy. You never know. And then Povich, if he keeps pitching the way he is, it's hard to take him out. Is he pitching tomorrow? Actually, I think he is. Go, Daddy? Yeah. Yeah, Cade Povich versus Tyler Bibby. Tanner Bibby. I think it's Bibby, but I don't.
Yeah.
I always call him Bibby. but I think that's just because I like to say it like that. Babi.
He's a little
Babi.
yeah.
No, but I would almost say that those guys are pretty untouchable. I mean, obviously, no player, I don't think, especially if their caliber, is going to be completely untouchable, like because like they will give up Povich or McDermott, one of those two, before they give up Holiday.
Well, I think if they were to trade a pitcher, would you think it'd be Seth Johnson?
Yeah, and that's another guy.
Because if a team wants a pitching prospect back, and you're not going to trade Povich or McDermott, if we're calling those guys like, okay, you're not leaving. Like I think Seth Johnson is probably the guy that goes.
Yeah, and this is such an interesting question. So I think Severino is a guy that is very much on the table for the Orioles to acquire. He was kind of in that B tier list I talked about, Kevin. But he says, then should we also attempt to include a JD Martinez? And this is one of the more interesting thought processes that I've seen, because it intrigues me. The fact of, do you get a right-handed bat? Do you continue to, go get a JD Martinez who's having a great year? He bats righty and he's battle tested with October. He's been one of those guys who's been known to come up in the clutch. And the biggest thing is he's not, even though, yes, he's a power bat, he can hit home runs. The wall doesn't worry me because he's always been known as a gap-to-gap doubles guy. And he would yes, he would be solely a DH, and I think that does hurt his value. But if he's going to be a guy, especially when rosters expand and then in the playoffs, if he's going to be a bench bat and then he DHs, he's a guy that I trust coming off the bench. Another one, Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham. I would love Tommy Pham. We've talked about this. I would love Tommy Pham on the team just because I know in a street fight we'd win. Tommy Pham just air boxing, shadow boxing, walking to the outfield after getting into a scuffle this year.
Electric.
It's just incredible. But it would be intriguing to me to see if they would add a position player. It would have to be more of a power bat. Like, you're not going to go speed because you have guys who have speed. You're not going to go, okay, versatility. We have guys who have versatility. Like, it would really only need to be a Tommy Pham, a JD Martinez, where you're going, hey, we're getting a veteran to come in here and help. We need a guy that can go out there and just simply come off the bench even, and we know can have success in the playoffs.
Tommy Pham versus Juan Soto, Orioles, Yankees. Absolutely electric. Absolutely electric.
You might be onto something. You might be. Did you see? Okay, real quick. Did you see Juan Soto strike out with his back to the pitcher today
when he called for time?
Yeah.
Screenshot. And he's like, "What I do?" He's like, "What I do?" He's like, "I call time."
Screenshot Juan Soto just back to the pitcher, and the ball is just right in the middle of the strike zone. And the caption was like, "Strike 3 looking," or "Strike 3 not looking," and I was like, "That's beautiful."
Yeah. Oh man. Do we want to do one up, one down from the game? I don't really know if there's I guess no. Westberg is the up, right? Like,
I'm not even giving Westberg the up. Westberg's the up, because he extended. The Orioles still have 22 straight games with the home run.
Yeah, I mean, literally. I mean, what we go? I guess everyone else down, 24 down.
Yeah,
25 for we throw high in there too. 25 down, one up, 25 down. Oh man,
let's talk about it because I kept on saying maybe it wasn't going to happen, but I think it's happening. Where is your panic level on Albert Suarez? Do you believe? Sorry, Cinderella. Clock struck midnight. The carriage is now a pumpkin again, or are you like, this is just a tough bump in the road?
I'm going to give him one more start, but the concern level is beginning to rise. I'll say that. I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10 for now. And then if it's one more start and he can't hold it together or it's really bad, I'd probably say, okay, this is now a trend. Because, look, some guys just have back-to-back bad outings. Doesn't excuse the outings, but you also have to acknowledge that, this is starting to get a little worrisome. So if it happens again, then I'm like, okay, this is an issue and something has to happen. But Yeah, concern level rising, but I'm going to give him one more start, and then if the one start doesn't go well, then I will be on the okay. Now this is a trend.
Yeah, so I'm in the same boat with you where I want to see one more start, but I'm at an 8 on the concern level, and it's because of what I've been talking about all year. Just felt like, we've seen the comparisons, the Linsanity runs, that gets thrown around there all the time now. It kind of just felt like a magical run that we would kind of eventually would weather down. It's not that he's a bad pitcher. He came back to reality a little bit. And I'm seeing stuff, Casey puts, he wasn't meant to be a starter. He's under immense pressure now. I think he's going to be better in the bullpen. For a while, I thought I liked Cole Irvin in the pen more, but I trust Cole Irvin with my life right now. I love just the grit he brings to this team.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens, but I agree. Give him one more start, and then we address it from there. But no, I would not. I'd be lying if I said my concern wasn't pretty high, just because I'm like, okay, this isn't like a lot of guys where you're like, oh, we've seen you for like Dean Kramer has back-to-back blow-up games. I know a lot of people immediately sound the alarm, but if you look back and you've seen he's gone 40, 50 straight starts and he's at a 3 ERA, like, eventually, like, he's going to get back to that. We haven't seen that with Suarez. He hasn't been in the majors before the season since 2017. So what does a regression to the means mean?
Yeah, and look, here's the other thing is, remember, Zach, we were talking about how crazy, just fatiguing and tiring this month of June would be for the Orioles. And I think everybody in the comments and everybody who was talking about the Orioles were like, yeah, wouldn't be super shocking towards the end of the month. Maybe they start to drop a little bit because they're going to go through a heck of a lot. And everyone's like, yeah, that makes reasonable sense. And now here we are, and exactly what we're talking about is happening. And everyone's like, oh, God, this guy's falling, season's over. And I'm just like, you were just saying the other thing before the month started, and now we're here. And the same thing that everybody said, yeah, that would make sense, is now, oh, why is this happening? Season's over, sky is falling. It's like, if you didn't believe that it was going to be a thing in your concern, then okay, like, that's one thing. But we had all acknowledged, I know all of us on the show, and I think a lot of people in the comments, just anybody who covers, watches, is a fan of the Orioles, was saying, like, yeah, it would make sense because only one off day in June with that schedule is brutal. Be brutal for any team. So if there was a little bit of fall off, a little bit of drop off, a little bit of fatigue, and it resulted in some losses towards the end of that month, yeah, that would make some sense. And now it's happening, and everyone's like, well, they're terrible, and the season's over. And I'm just like, okay, well, which is it? Like, we're here now, and it's happening. You said it was fine then. Is it fine now? Apparently not. So I don't know, man.
Kevin, I have a question for you. We sat here, I guess it was like at this point 2 weeks ago, and the Orioles were about to go in a stretch where they had the Braves, Phillies, Yankees, and Astros. The Orioles were, I believe, 3.5 games back of the Yankees. If I would have told you after that stretch the Orioles would be a game and a half out of first, would you have taken it?
Yeah, 10 times out of 10.
People thought the Orioles, we were panicking at 4.5 games looking at this stretch saying there's a chance the Yankees blow this gap open. There's a chance that the Yankees, we look back here and suddenly it's an 8.5 game lead. Orioles are playing some bad baseball, and yes, so are the Yankees, but it just shows you good teams go through bad slumps. There's a game and a half, and we have how many games left, Kevin? I don't have to
90, 80, I don't know.
Let me do quick
a lot.
Oh, man, okay. 50, so we've done 67 games, so we have 95 games left?
Yeah.
I feel like I just so botched that. That was so 77 games. We played 77 games, so we have 85 games left.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Math was Zach's segment on the show. Not great.
So bad. My math is so bad. I'm also just trying to do it in my head. And it's also just bad numbers to add. 49 plus 28 was just not making sense in my head.
All right. Now Ryan's just feeding into it now.
Ryan, let me tell you right now.
Known Orioles hater. Known Orioles hater, Ryan Ripken. Speaking of known Yankees hater, Zach Bollinger. with the hate watch of the century last night.
Yeah, and then it just did not happen.
Yeah.
Like that was ass. Like it looked so good. And then that Jared Kelenic play in the outfield.
Yeah.
That's when I knew it was done.
God. Well, we should have just started the show with the Yankees lose song. I feel like that
I considered it. I'm not gonna lie, I considered it, but I was just still upset. Like
after Friday's game, it was like, what the hell was that? Like, yeah, it's funny. But after they get swept, it's like, yeah, okay, not.
Yeah, like after
comedic timing, you got to be really good with it. And I feel like it wouldn't have worked today.
No, people would have been upset. We came on here. If we came on here happy, God, the comments would have been off the chains.
Is there anything to be happy about today? I went to the pool today. That was fun.
Kevin, you know what there's about to be happy about today? It's June 23rd. The Baltimore Orioles are 49-28, 21 games over 500. They just got swept in our 21 games over 500. They just got swept in our game and a half out of first place. And you know what's even better? They have an opportunity to win tomorrow.
It's true. And I mean, look, a lot of this comes with expectation, right?
Yeah, thank you.
The Orioles get
for this.
Yeah, look, the Orioles get swept in June 5 years ago. Who cares? Oh well, they're gonna lose 100 games anyway. It's like, yeah, it's whatever. But here's the reality. People are so fired up about this team, and there's so much passion around this team that every Orioles fan wants this team to be great. And so when you talk about the potential that they have, the ability for them with the prospects they have to maybe go make big moves, getting this team to the best place it can be is the goal of everybody, right? Whether you think the sky is falling, whether you think the sky is not falling, everybody wants this team to be great and to the best of their potential, the best of their ability. But with expectations comes a lot of this stuff where when you're not living up to your expectation, you have a bad series when all the expectations on you, you've homered in 22 straight games and, you're this power offense that can, light it up at any moment. And this pitching staff's been so good. Series like these are such letdowns. I'm not saying this series wasn't a letdown. It was. I mean, it was disappointing. It was really disappointing considering the expectations that this team has had on them all year. And especially, even if you want to go back, Zach, I think the way the playoff series went against Texas last year, I think a lot of people expected, they took a jump no one thought was going to happen last year. Like, that was an incredible, 100-game winners, AL East, number one seed, whatever. But I think with that, it was okay. The Orioles need to build on that season. I think they have, though. I just think that the expectations are so high for them of, you know what? They won 100 games last year, so now you got to go out there and win 107. You got the number one seed. That's now the expectation because you added Corbin Burns. And, AL East champs, the Yankees, they're a good team, but you know what? The Orioles should be up by 10 games on them right now because of everything that's happened. So at this point, the weekend was disappointing. It was. With expectations of any weekend like that's going to be disappointing. But we know this is still on the surface. You look at their talent, they're a good team. Now they have to put it together consistently, which I know there have been some issues with that throughout the season. But I think this Guardians series is going to tell us a lot. Can they bounce back or are they going to continue their slump? We'll see what happens.
You'll see. Kevin, I think my favorite narrative this season is when people are talking about the Orioles going in and they're like, the 101 win Orioles over the offseason they'll say did nothing outside of adding Corbin Burns. You mean they did nothing but add a Cy Young, the front runner right now for the Cy Young, to the team? This Orioles team, when Mike Elias needs to go get something done, he has done everything to prove to people that he will go do it. He added Corbin Burns. They made the deal at the deadline last year. Did it work out? No. But also last year we saw the Rangers trade for Max Scherzer and for Jordan Montgomery. Scherzer ends up hurt, doesn't help him at all. And Montgomery, who was considered the throw-in of the deadline, ends up helping them win a World Series and was one of their best pitchers throughout the whole run. You never know what's going to happen. Like, you just have to trust these guys because I promise you, trust in Elias, just going about it is going to be so much easier on you than just sitting there and thinking the sky is falling every day we don't make a move, because it's not. This is a damn good ball club. This is a damn good organization. And it's so funny. You ask if you ask the Orioles fans their thoughts on the organization, they go on this rant about how it's bad, about how they don't know what they're doing. Some fans go on these huge things. We asked Ryan Garcia of Fireside Yankees his thoughts on the Orioles organization, and he raved for about 2 minutes about how insane it is, how impressive it is what the Orioles do, the little things, the analytics, the communication between analytics and coaches and players, and how they present the analytics. And he went in this deep dive about how, from an outside perspective, it feels like the Orioles can do no wrong. But from an inside perspective, Ryan, I'm sorry, but Orioles fans think the Orioles can do nothing but wrong. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, and here's what I'll say about making a move and comparing it to last year's deadline. I think last year was very much a feel it out year for the Orioles. Like, they were a really good team, and they should have maximized. And I know that the Flaherty trade for a lot of people was like disappointing in a way because it wasn't like one of the bigger arms on the market and whatnot. But I think last year was kind of like, okay, what is this team? So I think it was like, all right, let's see what this is, and then we can figure it out. This year, it's what this team is. You know that they are World Series contenders, but you got to put the right pieces in. And look, the health situation has been awful this year. It's been less than ideal. The Orioles, I don't think, ever had a full healthy rotation this year, ever. At one point, maybe for like a day or two, but I don't think it ever happened. Grayson's had to miss time. We know Bradish is done. We know Means is done. We know Wells is done. It's just like, and obviously about, Felix too. It goes to the bullpen as well. They've lost a lot of talented pitchers. People would feel a lot better if they had those guys, but here's the reality: they don't. And on top of it, there's some doubt about the rotation next season, as we talked about earlier in the show. So, look, it makes sense to go out there and get a controllable starter who can slot in as your number 3 guy, push maybe a Suarez back to the bullpen, and then maybe get one more arm. That makes the most sense. And I think that when we get there, we can have those conversations. If they did, if they didn't, but Zach, we're not there. We're not. We can talk about it, you and I and Ryan and everybody. We can talk about it. We can speculate. But until we actually know what they do and how they decide their pitching staff looks, there's only so much of, speculating. I know Mason Miller is, he's the guy everybody wants. I still think it's wildly unrealistic that move happens. I don't even think the A's are trading him, for being honest. I mean, maybe they do, but
it takes so much to get a rookie closer who is doing what Mason Miller's doing.
Yeah, look, it'd be absolutely electric. I would love it, but
without a doubt.
But does that cost you, Kobe Mayo? Right? Like,
very well could.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just, look, series like these suck. It happens. I don't even know if there's anything we can do to get the vibes up today, Zach. I don't even know. We try after losses, but I'm not sure.
I am so exhausted at this point.
It's just been so hot out too, man. Like, you step outside and you're just like drained of all your energy within like 5 seconds. Like, I even had, I went out for
2 softball games today. It was horrible.
Oh, how'd that go? Is your meniscus torn?
No, it's not torn. It felt
all right. Wait, can you? Yeah, look at the last comment. Can you pull that up? Ryan's a big fan. He wants to join the show. I think we make an exception for him here. He's a big fan of us. I think. Yeah. You want to send him a link? You want to send him a link real quick?
Oh yeah.
He said to send a link. So, Aviator Sam, we need to talk about the tree behind me. So if you've been with me on Locked On Ravens, this was the tree that I used for like 3 years of my show. So yeah, this is a throwback to the old Locked On Ravens background. It's a palm tree. It's a room painted as a beach. So this was my old studio for Locked On Ravens before I upgraded to the new one. So had to have a little throwback. He said text in the link, Zach.
I just put in Discord.
Well. I don't know if that. I don't know. He should be. I don't know why he wouldn't be able to join that.
That's texted him too, but yeah, just one of those games. Just one of those.
One of those series, man. One of those series. Sucks.
Yeah.
Now, if they get swept by the Guardians, we'll have to,
if they get swept by the Guardians, then we can talk about what needs to change. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
It's one of those days, Kevin. One of those days. Yeah, but dude, softball was horrible. Like waking up and being at a field, like waking up at that alarm going off at 7 a.m. just never on a
I
Sunday.
mean, yeah, I know this is for everybody, but like I know you make your alarm the sound, and then you learn. Like I have my alarm set to like I don't even know what, like Steel Drums iPhone regular alarm, and it blares, and I hate it. Like your alarm,
Yeah.
you learn to hate that thing. Like
Dude, the alarm goes off at 7 a.m. on Sunday, and I just wake up, and the last thing I want to do in that moment is go play, like go do physical activity. Like,
yeah,
you know,
no,
no
never.
chance.
Well, how'd you do? Didn't you weren't you forced to play?
Yeah, no. So I went like 3 for 5 or something. It wasn't horrible. I actually, oddly enough, though, like my bet, like I popped up once. I had two. I like my best hit ball was an out. Like I was just getting like blooping 3 balls, and then I hit a gapper, and this center fielder just chased it down. I was like, okay, like the one I actually like feel good about. It was Oppo too. Like got the whole.
So you're in your Cedric Mullins era, is getting robbed of your best.
Yeah,
hits.
dude, it was bad. The whole game. We split with them though, so it was 1-1. It takes,
Yeah.
we're still. I think we're number 2 in the league now, so it's not ideal.
It's still good.
Yeah, but it was one of those when you sit there there was no shade. That's the other thing. There was no shade. We were in the middle of this field, no shade.
I guess it's better than you being there at like 2 p.m.
No, and that's what we said. But then like it was going long. Like we just had long innings where it was like we got out of there probably way later than we usually do. It felt like it was forever.
Yeah, it's the worst.
All right, hey, but look who finally decided to join us. We got DC or not. Okay. Oh, well.
Yeah, we let a fan on here one time, and look what happens.
That was you. No, you let someone in Discord.
No, okay.
Fan on here, like
yes, on here.
On the pasture. Well, the pasture night happened.
No, I'm saying Ryan Ripken is a fan of this show, and we let him on, and look what happens.
I thought you were talking about like we've had. I was like,
no, but I think actually we are going to try it, whether it is on the regular, Ryan Ripken show itself. Which, speaking of, while we wait for Ryan to get in here,
back on.
Okay, well,
no, there's no more waiting, Kevin.
Great to see you too, Kevin.
Welcome in. How does it feel to be a first timer on the show?
It's not my first time, Kevin. Good to see you, everyone. You know what? Just kind of, if I can spark notes from what I should understand. I think I'll call MLB and we'll end the season. We're good. I think we saw enough to call it. It's crazy. When the Orioles won in 1983, they lost 8 games or more twice. I'm surprised that they thought that they should go and represent the American League and still won their way into the World Series, right? So I'm with you. I think we saw enough. It was a good run, and better luck next year. So we'll move on. I just can't even take myself seriously. I am not feeling the best, guys. I will admit. I might have had too many of Zach's spicy waters yesterday.
No.
And they add up. But I will say the O's are fine, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well, by the way. O's are fine. All's good. Of course, the team needs to get better. Of course, the team needs to produce. But the reality why I brought up the losing streaks, teams go on to win regardless of circumstances. It always feels worse. I mean, people do forget Texas got banged up, and Texas almost fell out of the playoffs completely last year. They almost were on the verge of missing the playoffs. And Texas then rounded into form at the right time. There's so much baseball left. How many games has the team played, Zach? How many games?
77.
There you go.
77. So we got 85 left.
I mean, holy shirts and pants.
Throw it out.
That's so much baseball. So much baseball where things are going to fluctuate. Like I said, all you can ask at this moment, are the Orioles in a good position? The answer is yes. They're in a good position. Do they need to get better? Yes. Are things going to be okay? Yes. Do I not feel good? Yes. But we show up anyway. I actually have to go see Rocco in a little bit for TV. We got to talk about the Orioles. Sports. What else? What else do you guys want to talk about for a minute? And you guys new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Appreciate that.
The season is over, if you couldn't tell. It is. I think you hit it on the head. There's no even reason for them to continue playing the games, from what I've heard. Yeah. It's just one of those things.
Yes.
They have to throw out the pitching rotation because their two aces had tough games. So got to get rid of everyone.
Yeah. And also, again, like context matters here, right? Like it's a good problem right now. And like, I want to point this out here. Houston's lineup they've underperformed, but this is not a bad team. This is a team that is underperforming with talent that they have. Right. So, and also the other part, I don't know if you guys talked about this, like the emotional, roller coaster essentially of playing your division rival, and you're at this high and you're locked in, and that was a draining series. And then Houston needed these games and they got them. So you move on though. Like you move on. You got to move on. And
the way we put it was Orioles were coming off the two biggest series of their season so far, and Houston is a desperate team that needs to prove that they can still compete and be buyers at the deadline and not blow it up. So you're two teams in two completely different situations.
Yes, that is correct. It's going to be a fun week at the Yard, though. The Birds come back home. They got some big series. Obviously, rematch of the ALDS with the Rangers coming in at the end of the week. Guardians, who are one of the other top teams in baseball, should be a lot of fun. Maybe, just maybe, there's some things working up my sleeve. Maybe I'll tell the Holy Shirts and Pants members. Won't tell Kevin. Yeah. We know that.
Them before me, always.
Yep. So won't tell Kevin. But there's some things in the works here about what our plans are upcoming. And also, as you guys know, you guys haven't come up with a name for this yet, have you?
We started the soft launch. We put out a poll of React versus Reacts, but it was literally so close. React won the initial poll by like 3%, 4%. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it was 3. It was like one vote compared to what?
Yeah, I can't. So I think we're gonna do the final poll on the show tomorrow for React versus Reacts. I think Reacts gives it the like oomph, but React is what it actually is. Because Reacts means like reactions, like Kevin and Zach reactions. React is like Kevin and Zach react.
I think people just take reacts as the plural of react. Or like this
reactions.
It's the action of reacting is like there. So it's like that's why I think people are going react.
Yeah, Kevin and Zach react.
Well, I'm glad that this is still the ongoing dilemma. But
we're literally we're one letter away from having a name. So.
Hey, but Tom, appreciate it, Tom.
Appreciate it, Tom.
Boom, baby. But in all seriousness, so just so people know, rebranding for whatever the Reacts react, Kevin and Zach talk about Kevin's taters, whatever you want it to be. I don't, we're going to rebrand it. And obviously, so it doesn't confuse people. These are post-game live shows that are continue for Orioles season, Ravens season, and beyond. And then the Ryan Ripken show, which we will do Monday and Thursday. And I saw some people comment about, hey, are you guys going to add more shows? Well, we're going to add more shows to the Ryan Ripken show when we can get a little bit more of the bandwidth, obviously. But our goal is to bring more and more content moving forward. We got a lot of exciting things in the works. And one of those is to expand more at the Ryan Ripken show as well, and the Ryan Ripken media as a whole. And I'll just say this too. I'm giving an up-to-date for the week since we're here. We are going to do a tip-off for the Ryan Ripken show afternoon show tomorrow. And We'll have one on Thursday. There's all night games this week. And your boys got to do pregame radio for 105.7 The Fan. And guys, I mean, I told you guys in the group chat, but there might be an MLB The Show legend joining the show tomorrow.
Oh, well, I've not been a part of the group chat then. I don't even know.
That makes sense. Yeah, you also ignored my call today. Thank you.
I didn't even get a call.
When did you
I got a text clarifying. That
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was my bad, Kevin, but also
a day later.
have you guys ever had a frozen Orange Crush?
Okay.
Yes, they are incredible.
No, I've not even had a regular Orange Crush.
Kevin, what? How? Kevin, Jesus Christ.
Okay. All right, back to the show for a second. Ryan Ripken's show will be live tomorrow, afternoon show, and yes, one of our guests.
I just saw it. Yeah.
MLB The Show legend. So I will leave it at that. I think that's where. Right? Am I right? Am I wrong with that, Zach?
No. You're right.
I'm right.
At first, I was thinking cover, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Who is?" And then no, I see. Yes, okay, yes, I did see that.
I did.
Yeah, it'll be a good one.
Yeah, and so that'll be fun, and then maybe we're gonna sprinkle in throughout the rest of the week some other pieces as we try to put that in. But make sure you guys got your notifications on for our Holy Shirts and Pants members. Make sure you keep looking out for more updates as it's coming to fruition. It should be a lot of fun. A lot of things in the works, and also too, if you guys just we try to put out content almost every single day. And today's video, if you guys we're doing more down on the farm. So we did talk with Mark Antonini, say that 7 times fast, Kevin, and our Enrique Bradfield Jr. update down on the farm in Aberdeen is out right now. Go take a listen. The Trevor Hoffman interview, Hall of Fame pitcher, which we actually might condense down, Zach, and maybe talk a little bit about the Craig Kimbrell situation there, because Trevor got to talk on it and talked about the challenges of closing out games. So look out for all of that. We got a lot of good stuff in the works here, as well as these post-game lives, which will continue to live on. And whether they live rent-free in your head, that's up to you. They keep me up at night. They're very entertaining at times, but I also think, is this the time that something goes wrong?
We'll wait till the first West Coast road trip until the 1 a.m. ones start. Then we'll really.
That's lunchtime, man. That's easy, man. That's lunchtime.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
We'll see what content's like at 1 a.m. Then we'll
you want to hang out late night. I used to record my Locked On Ravens at 4 a.m. to get out at 6 a.m.
We know.
Yeah, we know. That's why I sent you the good God text, because when I read your message of when you sent me
I don't even think it was that late. When was it?
It was 3:49 in the morning, Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin, you need to.
So he's like, "Oh, what do you mean? Oh, wow. I'm just sitting down for dinner at that hour, So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, guys, I appreciate you, but everyone here, just we're gonna have, we'll work on Rip After Dark here at some point when that becomes a Ryan review. Our guests can actually tomorrow talk about some Rip After Dark stories. And you know what? That'll be during the daytime. We'll close that off for the members only. So
Kevin's working at 3:49, and not like it's not like he's forced to work then. He just he does it then.
I don't want to miss anything, so I purposely record late, because I've had it happen too many times where I'll be burned and the Ravens will make a move at like 11 at night, and I'm just like, well, everything I've done for the past however many number of hours are irrelevant, and I have to do all over again. So
you could probably 12 o'clock is probably in the clear. Like, I don't know if 3 a.m. has got to be like, I don't think
they hired Mike McDonald at like 11:45 p.m. or some crazy time like that.
Did Shane sing about it? 4 a.m. I'm just getting started.
Yeah, he didn't. He doesn't know.
For my birthday, I threw me a surprise party. I think that's the lyric. That's something Kevin would do for Banksy. But that's fantastic. That's a lot of good action. Good, clean fun. All right, guys, I got to shape up and get myself together. Kevin, I'm going to wipe from my memory that you haven't had an orange crush. Maybe
I haven't. The stars have not lined up for me to have one. It's not that I'm avoiding it.
Yuck on the pickles.
You know what, Kevin? There's literally every place that you can go to in the state of Maryland, and they will serve it to you.
It's more like I don't really. Yeah. All right. Now I feel like me making excuses is gonna make it worse. So I've wanted to try one. The stars are just not lined up.
Well, congratulations. We're trying one.
Okay. All right. We'll make it happen.
That'll be some content. All right, guys. You guys close out the show. Everyone, appreciate you. See you for the Ryan Ripken show tomorrow, early afternoon. We'll have that tip off. Yeah, all O's are fine, guys. It's okay. I get it. I know it stinks, but it'll be good. And if not, just blame me. Apparently, it's a lot of people blame me for giving an opinion of why I thought that the Orioles aren't going to sign Trevor Bauer. I said from the team's perspective, but that I'm the problem. I know that. I'm willing to admit that. Yep.
Shame on you, Ryan. Awesome. So we'll catch you later.
All right, guys. See ya.
Peace.
There are once again no rules. You want to do something crazy? That shouldn't have been that funny. That shouldn't have been funny.
It's no rules, man. Off the hinges.
Before we go, this would be cool. Samuel Basayo did get pulled from the game. So we'll see. I would love that.
Yeah.
I don't think if people are thinking, I don't think he's traded. I think he's getting called up to the next level, promoted.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Is that how you? Yes, Basayo. Samuel Basayo.
Basayo.
So yeah.
Apparently it says he's not injured, traded, or promoted per Danielle Allen took. So
we just Okay, so that was just okay. Well,
he's getting cut. No, I'm kidding.
He's getting demoted. Just like he hit more bombs.
Oh man.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't fun. I guess. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or are we rolling out?
Not at all. Not a single thing.
I want to give a little behind the scenes. Every time after losses, Zach and I are like, we're only going to go 30 minutes. There's nothing to talk about. And then we go an hour every single time.
Well, because I came in here hot, Kevin. I was so pissed off. I was so pissed off when I first got in here. I was like, I do not want to talk about the Orioles just getting swept. I was hungover. I'm just tired. I'm just fresh from the bar. I just had gotten back. So it's like, it wasn't even like a drinking at the bar where you're feeling good. It was like still trying to get over last night, but also I played 3 hours of softball type of trying to recover. It just, the body was not feeling good when we first came back. Not that it's feeling good now, but we're taking it a minute at a time, Kevin.
Yeah. So what you got to do? I hear you. I've been there.
All right, but that'll do it for us here at the post-game show. To be decided later, whether S or no S. But yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow for another edition of the Ryan Ripken Show in the afternoon. But besides that, Kevin, any last words? Anything you want to say before we end this puppy?
Season's not over. Sky's not falling. I want to try to think of a motivational quote. Be the change you wish to see in the world. It's the first one that came to my mind.